Like I can't even say my type of beliefs in the public square, and I wouldn't just like go up to a gay person and like say something cruel to them for the sake of being cruel.
Okay, so I get that, but what you're advocating for is the result. The result of what you're advocating for is just that. So if you teach kids that it's unnatural to be gay, it's bad, God doesn't like it, that's going to lead to a harmful outcome in all of society and for gay people specifically.
Well, I think the harmful outcome is happening on its own, but in society, society functioned much better before we were teaching all this.
No, it
Our
didn't.
country was more state. How did it
No,
not?
society did not function much better. If you want to talk about conservative censorship, that's fine. But I have a problem right off the bat, which is that the whole reason I asked you to talk was because I saw you saying that it was wrong or bad to burn the American flag. It seemed as though you were actually advocating for a level of censorship.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sure. So I think the first thing I would do to spare my neocon friends is just to say that I hold a different position than a lot of the right wing, and any neocon who is gonna go in and see what I'm saying, it would be like, well, guys, this is not the whole right wing. We don't actually believe this. So I think we need, for the liberals in the chat, they're gonna go be like, guys, all the right wing people are like this. To credit the neoconservatives, they are much more like free speech absolutists in every situation, so
So
you will
you're
get
in
a different
favor of
response.
banning, or you're in favor of like locking people up for or burning the American flag.
I don't know what the exact punishment would be, but I do think that there should be a punishment for burning the American flag as a symbol of our nation. And if you are burning the American flag, you are not giving an insightful take against, like, oh, this is one problem in our nation, which is what many people on Twitter have said as a response to me saying that. You are simply saying, I hate America. Because if this was, like, oh, I think that prisons are too strict, or I'm against the death penalty. You don't burn the American flag. You should be against those things specifically. Instead, they're just burning the American flag, which is, like, as I said before, the symbol of our nation.
Right. So here's my issue right off the bat is I don't think that you are in a position to accurately discuss right-wing censorship if you as a right-winger are actually advocating for a much deeper level of censorship as far as punishing people for enacting their right to protest. Now, believe it or not, I've actually gotten shit before for from lefties because I said that burning the American flag is just as cringy as saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And I still stand by that. I think it is cringy to burn the American flag. I also think it's really cringy to go and sing the special flag song while you put your hand on your chest. Like, I think a lot of that's cringy, but again, it's not about whether or not it's cringe or whether or not I like it. It's about whether or not they have a right to do so. And I mean, I don't know where you fall with things in regards to like the Constitution and whatnot, but as somebody who supports the Constitution, that protects our right to protest, and part of our right to protest includes burning the American flag.
Um, yeah, I understand what you're saying about right to protest, but I also think that we need to do what is good. And I think what the left has done is they have very successfully veiled a lot of their movements in it's being about free speech, and then in reality, just done things that are flat out subversive. So,
Isn't
for
that what you're
example,
doing with talking about
in what
conservative?
way?
When you talk about conservative censorship, it's my guess that you're referring to social media platforms, right?
Oh, oh, when you said sorry, actually, when we were talking about conservative censorship, I thought what you meant like what we were talking about now, conservatives censoring other people.
Well, you said I want to talk about conservative censorship. I thought what you meant is
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about the way in which conservatives are censored.
No, well, no, actually, I want to talk about how, like, I thought this was like you meant conservatives were censoring our people because it kind of lined up with what we were talking about on Twitter.
Um, okay, yeah. So help me understand then. Are you in favor of censorship or not?
Depending. I generally would like to have a open society, but I do think that in situations where people have bad intentions and just blatantly bad intentions, you cannot allow that and you need to censor it. Or just something that's just evil.
So what's evil?
A variety of things. So if you want me to pick like a hot button issue, I would say like trying to push transgenderism on children I would support banning, and people like libertarians would be like, okay, well, you're violating, like the public school is a place of free speech, and by blocking trans people from saying their agenda to children, that's being unfair to them. I would say I don't support their agenda, and it is harmful to children, so therefore I would support banning it in that case. I
Um,
don't support like banning everything and just solely imposing my worldview, but I do think that like stuff like that is just subversive, and you're not like it's not. I like for example, I would be open to talking to a transgender person anytime, but I would not support them just going to schools and pushing their ideology down on children.
okay, so that is kind of a weird, almost wedge issue, right? Because it would fully depend upon what the school or how the school was funded. So if it's a private school, I might not agree with them saying or making certain rules, right? But at the end of the day, them being a private institution, they have that right to enact rules, and technically they have a right to enact a certain level of censorship, right? Just like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, and YouTube also have a right to ban people from their platforms. That's not a free speech issue. Would you agree with me thus far?
Um, Basically, you're saying if it's a private company, then they have a right to do what they own.
Yeah, if it's a private company, as long as it doesn't violate some broader federal law, like they couldn't say we're a private company, no blacks allowed. But they generally have the right to enact their own rules and censor certain levels of speech if it's a private company. Do you agree with that?
Not really. So I guess what you could say is we should, or what I would say is we should have a federal law that would just ensure that there would be free speech on these platforms, and that would solve that. But if that never happened and we were just in the situation we are now, I don't think that companies should be banning right-wing perspectives because they're basically just making an echo chamber for the left,
I'm
and
kind of
that's
having a
not
hard
helping
time
her.
following where this conversation is going. So
Wait,
you're talking about right wingers being censored on social media platforms. Yes or no?
I mean, initially I was talking about censoring other people, but yeah, now I am. Because
Okay.
you asked me
Okay.
that.
Right. No, I know. I know. So you're against that, but you're also in favor of punishing people who burned the American flag. The
Yes.
the issue here is that one is a private company, which has no it has no relevance whether or not the Constitution guarantees freedom of speech with those private companies. That's not what the First Amendment applies to. Are you with me so far? You can
I guess I see
disagree,
what
but
you're
do you
saying. Well,
understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, but I disagree.
Okay. So when you're talking about the government stepping in and saying you are not allowed to burn the American flag, that is a direct violation of the Constitution, which guarantees you the right to speech and protest without government interference. So when you say
Well,
that I'm against people burning the American flag and they should be punished, you're advocating for an undermining of the First Amendment, which is simultaneously what it sounds like you're complaining about happening with private companies.
I can get into why the two are different, but quickly, about burning the American flag. This country used to deport communists, and that was not a violation of the First Amendment. And I think that that was actually a good policy because the communists were not here to, like engage in the, the free marketplace of ideas. They were here to subvert our system. And in that case, I think like,
If
and
somebody's
communism is antithetical. Communism is inherently antithetical to the American system. I don't think that there was anything wrong with deporting people
But hold on,
who were communist revolutionaries.
it's also antithetical to the American system to advocate to throw people in prison or, excuse me, punish people in some way for burning the American flag. That's antithetical to America.
It's antithetical to America to burn the American flag.
No, it's not. Believe it or not, it's not. We have a right to protest in this country, and part of that right includes burning the American flag. There have been multiple different Supreme Court rulings which have all agreed on that fact, that whether we like it or not, whether it's uncomfortable or not to us, is aside the point. You have freedom of speech and protest, and you can burn the American flag in the act of protest. That is a free speech issue.
I get what you're saying, but I think the issue is that we've allowed these people to just walk all over our country in the name of free speech, and I think that's gone too far. And I
I just
and
wait,
just
okay.
because I think basically if you're building a system that allows people to say whatever they want, what you're going to have is people who will try to undermine the system and if you're not going to defend the system you built, then you were just going to let your system be undermined and there's going to put in a different system, which is what we can see where the left has gained power originally. If you look at the 1960s, the left was very free speech, and then in the modern era, the left now also supports censorship.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by censorship anymore.
Okay, well, if we would you agree that the cancel culture comes from the left mainly now?
Um, no, actually, no. It's conservatives that tend to boycott a lot of shit anytime they're mad about anything. I was actually going to talk about it in regards to the Target thing.
Oh, it's Target thing.
Target's selling binders, which is a type of bra to help trans people who are gender dysphoric, and now a bunch of conservatives are whining and saying they're not going to shop there anymore.
Yeah, it seems based. But
So you're in
but
favor
yeah,
of some level of cancel culture then?
yeah.
Okay, so
The
no,
cancel
no, no. The
culture that gets
problem is,
people
hold on,
like
stop.
fired
The
from their
problem is
job
that you
comes
are
from the
in.
left.
No, no, no. You're against everything as long as it's coming from the side you disagree with. You're okay with all these things
In a
happening
sense,
so
yeah,
long they're
yeah,
coming from the side
because
you
what
agree with.
because Hunter, as John was actually saying in the debate about, you being in 2016, I am also from 2016 in a sense, and what I saw was that the left was fine doing it to benefit themselves, and you need to fight fire with fire.
So, cancel culture, people getting angry in a social environment about something that someone else said, I agree can oftentimes go too far. I've seen people get canceled for saying the N word when they were 12 on Twitter, and I agree that that's fucking stupid, obviously. But we're talking about social repercussions to certain speech, and as dumb as it might be, though, that's social. That's not the government getting involved. You're advocating for something worse than cancel culture, which is governmental intervention into speech issues. You're advocating for a far worse form of cancel culture.
I'm advocating for what is good and defends what I would consider good, and frankly, what most of America considers good. And I'm looking at the end result. So if the government is lets people do whatever they want, and then are just put into a system that solely promotes, like similar to where we are now, just like these liberal values of just like sole individualism, and you could just look at like I'm just trying to like so like just consumerism, like all this like things that come from like our culture is dead, and then the left is just trying to fill in that void with
Okay, what does this have
these
to do
very
with
highly
anything?
individual. I'm getting there. With these very highly individualistic things, then I'm not going to be against the left eroding culture because through through I guess what would that be, like private means, saying okay, this is free speech. The end result is something I don't like, and it's bad for our country, and therefore just because they do it through the proper channel doesn't mean I'm going to support the end result. And the thing is, the left does play both sides of the game, where they say, okay, whoa, you guys are against free speech. That's pretty crazy. And then they'll also be like, oh, it's a private company. It can do what it wants. It can push gay propaganda on children because it is a private
Well,
company.
gay
And I'm looking
propaganda,
at
I
this.
don't know what you mean by that. So what it is
Okay.
that you are a like open mask off authoritarian. You are not a conservative. You don't
I'm not authoritarian.
well, you are, because you want the government to have authority over people's freedom of speech. You can talk about,
Not
oh, the
over
left
every
did this,
element
or
of
I'm
freedom
mad
of
about the
speech,
left
but
did this, the left did that. Okay, yeah, but now what are we hearing? You want the government to intervene someone else's free speech when it comes to them protesting and burning the American flag. You want the government to intervene on a private company's freedom of speech to promote what they want to promote if it's what you call the gay agenda. That's authoritarian, my dude. You can just bite the bullet.
I guess perhaps maybe that is like an authoritarian leaning. But no, I would not say I'm a full blown authoritarian where I want like complete free speech rooted out. I'm saying the left is using basically these mediums to go for the jugular, essentially, like going after children and pushing an ideology on them is not like you can sure actually let me say, if you want to call me authoritarian for saying I don't want children to have a harmful ideology pushed on them,
One, it's not
then
harmful.
sure.
Two, I don't know
But
what you
like
mean.
when have I advocated for like this conversation we're having now being banned and then my idea being pushed? Like we're both adults. We both know we can both talk normally, and that's fine. But like what I'm against is the two things I've said I'm against is people burning the symbol of our country, the core symbol of our country, and people trying to push an ideology on
What
children.
do you mean people trying to push an ideology on children? In what context?
What context? I would,
Do you mean
the
like Disney showing a gay person on TV?
Well, if I want to look at TV stuff, there was like that one Blue's Clues gay pride thing that I'm pretty sure we all saw when that was going on. Like I
Yeah, that was
consider that
super
much too
based.
far.
So again, you are wanting to step in on other people's freedom of speech and invoke censorship for things you don't like. Let me guess, you're fine with
Two children
Hold on.
targeted at
Yes, I don't
children.
care if it's to children. You're fine, for example, with children learning about Christianity. Right or wrong? Yes or
Yeah.
no?
Yes.
Okay, so that's actually a harmful ideology.
How?
Because teaching children that they are condemned to hell for not following your set of dumb beliefs and
That is not
telling,
what Christianity is
yes,
about.
it is, and telling,
Completely. That is not the sole basis. Christianity is a moral system as well as
and it's not
belief. Like it's
moral.
not just
It's harmful in
it is
almost
moral.
every
It's not
facet
it's
of the
not
way.
moral by your liberal standard of do whatever you want, do whatever makes you feel happy.
No,
But it
my
is
liberal standard is don't do something that results in harm. And teaching kids Christianity at a very young age, you're indoctrinating them with an ideology that tells them that there was a talking snake, that they're going to go to hell if they don't believe a certain way, and that they were born intrinsically evil and need to believe in your imaginary friend. That's far more harmful than informing children that gay people are real.
Yeah, okay, it goes far beyond informing people, children, gay people are real, okay? Let's be real here. It is teaching people that being gay is not only normal but is the way to go. Okay? That is
No,
a
they're not
far
saying it's the
stretch from
way to
gay people
go.
exist. I went through sex ed. Yeah, they literally told us to go explore, okay?
Okay, well then maybe that's an
Okay,
issue
my
in your
guy.
school, because if they said that, that would be pretty dumb. But at the end of the day, people don't usually just choose to be gay. If the school's like, hey, you should be gay, that's not going to make little Johnny turn gay. It's genetic. People are genetically predisposed to being gay.
What proof is there that it's genetic?
I
I've
can send
never
you
seen anything.
Would you like to see
Sure,
my research paper on this?
I'll look at it later, but I'll take your word for it now.
All
At the
right,
very
I'll
least, would
pull it
you at
up for
least
the time
would you at
being.
least agree that there is some element of it that basically are you saying it's all genetic, or is there some element
No,
that
there's a social
okay,
element also, but
okay,
virtually
fine.
everything is some kind of an interaction between genetics and social environment. Our genetics interact with our social environment. The point of the matter is simply that people are born with a predisposition to being gay. And there can be certain things that happen in their life that kind of set that up and then make it so that they are gay. Or there can be some things that don't happen and they just end up being gay as they get older and start discovering their sexuality and whatnot. But when you tell kids in an appropriate manner that, hey, being gay is a real thing, some boys want to marry other boys, and some women or girls want to marry other girls. They're also you might have a mommy and a daddy. A mom or a boy and a girl getting married is totally okay. It's also okay if a boy and a girl want to get married also. If you told something like that to a child, that's not indoctrination. That's literally the truth.
Well, one assumes that that is okay and completely fine, but even
It
then, they're
is.
going far beyond that.
It is.
I assume you've already heard all the things about suicide rate and rate of abuse and stuff. Like, I don't need to reiterate
The
all that.
suicide rate is because of people that hold your type of beliefs.
My guy, I can't even say my type of beliefs in the public square, and I wouldn't just like go up to a gay person and like say something cruel to them for the sake of being cruel.
Okay, so I get that, but what you're advocating for is the result. The result of what you're advocating for is just that. So if you teach kids that it's unnatural to be gay, it's bad, God doesn't like it, that's going to lead to a harmful outcome in all of society and for gay people specifically.
Well, I think the harmful outcome is happening on its own, but in society functioned much better before we were teaching all this.
No,
Our
it didn't.
country is more state. How did it
No,
not?
society did not function much better because for gay people, they were forced into the closet, forced to live a horrible life, honestly. Even this person that I just, even when I was talking to John Doyle and I mentioned that gay guy who invented one of those things that benefited the military, he was later discovered to be gay and he was forced by the government to get chemically castrated.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that's not a good environment. That's not something good. That's harmful. I don't want to live in a society in which someone can deem my sexuality wrong, and then that results in me getting chemically castrated. If you're going to say it's wrong, you need to explain why it's wrong. And Christianity, mind you, doesn't do that. It does the opposite. It says, well, because God said so, it's just bad, you know? Christianity is not a good moral foundation, but you want to push that harmful ideology, a provably false ideology onto children, but you don't want kids to learn the truth of the matter that some people are just gay.
I think what is hard is that you're arguing that the extent of the LGBT movement is just teaching people to leave them alone and accept them and that they exist. And I would, first of all, disagree that that is even the case. Even in terms of just is society functioning better? The only example you cited was how gay people are treated. If I look at how gay people are treated, they should have the option of, basically being celibate, and which is what you're meant to do. Mm-hmm. And in which case,
no, they're not
should
meant
basically
to do
be
that.
left alone.
Nope, they're not meant to do
Christianity,
that.
I'm pretty sure you are.
I don't. Not, no. Okay, God, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep this conversation up. I feel like we're not really getting anywhere. Let's just focus on Christianity for half a fucking second, okay? So, I don't care if Christianity just says it's bad. What makes it bad? Why is it bad?
Oh, the rate of abuse between lesbians is pretty high. Suicide rate's pretty high.
There's also a really high rate of suicide amongst white males. There's also a really high rate of abuse amongst men and women.
Sure. Yeah, I can explain all those things.
These are external. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to explain it because these are external
but that's my point.
issues.
I cannot explain the gay one. Why are gay people and transgender people so much higher suicide rates despite being basically completely supported in society, except for a fringe of people who are almost have no voice or influence?
They're not. And also, by the way, I'm looking this up right now, and you can see that in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, the suicide rate actually spiked. So no, I honestly don't think that things were that much better off back then. In the 1950s, suicide started to spike significantly. So there's a couple different things here. Is when you are now advocating to teach kids this idea of biblical morals or whatever, you're not demonstrating what makes it bad. A high suicide rate does not mean that being that thing is bad. Unless you're going to look me in the eye and tell me that being a veteran is also a mental illness or is also bad because veterans commit suicide at higher rates.
Once again, though, there's a difference of the reasoning. The difference of the reasoning for veterans would be that they have seen horrible things in war.
And what about white males?
Because their role in society has basically been displaced and all society tells them that they're bad for being white.
Okay, so do you think that with trans people, that could have anything to do as well with a larger societal push that trans people are not valid? That states,
where?
That is
outside of a little bit of pushback coming now.
It's not a little bit of pushback,
overextension.
Dude. You're living in denial right now, okay? When we have multiple Republican legislatures essentially running on restricting trans people's rights to gender-affirming care, which has been demonstrated to be a life-saving thing, then yeah, we have a big problem here. When we have people like you and other chuckle fucks who are up here arguing that it's actually a sin to be gay, yeah, that's a problem, my dude. When we have
I'm trying to be nice and formal.
I don't want to be nice to you. You're a moron, and I'm going to call you one. So again, when we have trans people that are getting kicked out of their homes and murdered at disproportionate rates, yeah, that's going to contribute to it.
What are you talking about?
I'm listing I'm listing off the external...
Where are they being murdered and pushed out of their homes?
I am listing off the external issues that are contributing to the transgender suicide rate. Something that you're fine acknowledging in the terms of white males, but something you just can't even wrap your little mind around in regards to trans people.
Where are transgender people being murdered and pushed out of their homes?
Let's see. Williams Institute. Transgender people over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to be victims of violent crime. Okay, my bad. I shouldn't have said murdered. Violent crime. So They are 4 times more likely than cisgender people to experience violent victimization, including rape, sexual assault, and aggravated or simple assault, according to a new study by the Williams Institute by UCLA School of Law. In addition, households with transgender person had higher rates of property victimization than cisgender households.
And what is the reasoning behind this? Just solely that they're trans?
There are bigots everywhere. People
Everywhere?
don't like trans people. People think they're gross or icky or that they're pushing their spooky trans agenda on kids. That's what you said.
Yeah, they literally are pushing
And
their
so
spooky
you are
trans agenda on
contributing to the
kids.
suicide rate. You see the problem here is that you are saying,
I'm contributing to the
no.
suicide
Be
rate.
quiet. You said that trans people are committing suicide and that's why it's bad. But by you saying it's bad, you're contributing to the suicide rate of trans people.
So, me holding an opposing opinion, trying to be polite and cordial, I'm killing people.
Yes, because you're not being polite and cordial.
Okay.
I can get up here and nicely
well,
say, listen,
I have been.
well, okay, listen, I just have a different opinion, you know? I just don't think that black people are human. It's my different opinion, though, ooh-woo. It doesn't matter if you're polite. That belief is leading to a higher rate of suicide amongst trans people. You're doing this.
This just sounds like you're pushing the Overton window and trying to force me out of it, my guy.
No, I'm literally showing you that
You're comparing me, who doesn't want men to cut off their genitals and pretend they're women, to someone who hates black people because of the color of their skin.
Yes,
And no
because
other
you
reason.
said that being gay is a sin when there's a genetic component to that. But you would never say that being black is a sin, even though there's a genetic component to that as well.
Did I say that because being gay is a sin, we should just kill gay people or something?
No,
Like,
you don't need to
who
say
do you
that.
think I am?
You don't need to say that.
I
You
don't
said that
need
they
to say
should
that.
live their lives celibate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Okay. Yeah, and what is that? That's equivalent to not only causing people to kill themselves, but
Yep.
forcing them out of their homes.
Yep.
And
Yes.
yeah, that's just.
There's a
retarded,
reason
my
why,
guy.
for example, that as people's faith in Jesus grows, they also lower their acceptance of gay people and trans people. Yeah.
I mean, I held these beliefs before I was even a Christian, so that doesn't really apply here. But
Okay, well, I don't care.
okay, well, I don't even know what to say. There's just a complete disconnect of, and actually, kind of in the point about censorship is like these two sides are I'll go centrist mode here. These two sides are completely pulled apart. Like, me and you have a completely different perception of how reality is. And I would say that both sides are basically just vying for complete control. Because what you have is you don't have a simple, like,
You're the
oh,
one
I
vying
think...
for complete control, mind you.
Okay, really?
Yes, you want the government to step in and arrest people and punish
Yeah,
them
and
for
there were people
protesting or
for the
teaching
Canadian
kids
government.
something that is a truth
How
of the
many-
matter.
how
You,
many
my friend,
people
hold
on
on.
the left-
You're the same type of person that would have been siding with the Catholic Church hundreds of years ago and advocating to execute people that dare to go against the idea that the sun circulates the world. You would be that person. You would be the person
sounds
in
like a cult.
denial of science and in turn advocating for the censorship and the persecution of people that are actually in favor of the science. That would be you.
The science. Okay, I dude. Where's it gonna go with this for you when you're rant? Oh yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I completely lost it. That sucks. But it. Yeah, it was really into my mind. Oh yeah, the left wing. Oh yeah, in Canada. That was at Canada. So in Canada, the people on the left are basically supporting taking away children from their parents for being against transgenderism. Okay, I'm assuming you're fine with that. That's not violating like parents' ability to raise their own children. That's not violating free speech. I assume you'd be fine with that. Is that correct?
I don't know. I'm looking this up. Because
That might have happened to one guy. I think there was a guy who was a Canadian and he has daughter taken away from him, I think.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that one. So that's incorrect. He was
You
not.
are against it? Oh.
No, he wasn't. He didn't have an issue there because he was against trans stuff. It was because the courts told him specifically to stop speaking to the media. He didn't listen and he kept on speaking to the media, and in the process was also misgendering his daughter or his son. I don't know what they identified as, but either way,
Was misgendering?
referring to them as the opposite of the gender that they are identifying as. and request to be identified as.
And is that a crime, I assume, in your
That's
mind?
not the
That's
crime,
horrible.
but the crime was talking to the media when the court instructed him not to. He was under a court order not to
And what
talk to
was
the
the
media, and he
original
did.
case based on?
The original
I
case
assume
was
that,
probably based on the transgender issue.
yeah. But if I remember, and based on what you're saying, it sounds like they were considering taking daughter away, and the reason that they actually went through with it was because he was talking to me. But that was still on the table. Am I not correct? That was the point I'm trying to get. That it was still that it was on the table that you could have your children taken away or misgendering someone. I guess
No,
is that correct? No,
no, nope. I don't believe that's the case.
I'll look it up. What's the name?
I don't know. Canada man arrested. Court order. Father arrested for discussing child's gender transition in defiance of court order. A Canadian man was arrested this week after violating a court order that banned him from speaking publicly about his son's gender transition. This is coming from the New York Post, so this is not exactly a libcucky website here. So he violated the court order. That's why he was arrested. It wasn't like, hey, Dad, I'm a boy now. Oh, are you sure about that, Missy? Lock him in prison. That's bull. That's not what's happening.
Why was the court order on anyways? Look, I'm reading right
Because
now.
he wasn't allowed to talk to the media about something that was very controversial involving his son. This is what I mean, is you don't have any idea what the fuck you're talking about, and yet you're advocating for the censorship of things you don't like, partially because you don't even understand them, and you're simultaneously in
way?
favor. You didn't understand anything with this court order thing just now. You didn't understand what you don't understand what a sex reassignment surgery is. It's not just lopping off your genitals. You don't understand half the shit you're talking about. You're crying about the left apparently doing cancel culture. You want to lock people up for teaching kids the truth about gay people and burning the American flag, and you want to teach kids a actual harmful ideology called Christianity.
You're framing us truth against gay people, okay? If we're trying to be, relaxed and not really get, bogged down in this and like get all emotional, saying it's the truth about gay people in the majority of the country is definitely not majority, but the country is. This is a relevant issue. This is not a done issue.
I don't care.
Where it's like, okay, well, we all agree with it.
I don't care if it's a relevant issue. You could have polled people back in the olden days, and probably 100% of them would have told you that God exists. It doesn't mean that God is real. I don't care if people are against the gay thing or not. There's a lot of dipshits, unfortunately, and you're demonstrating that right now. People don't understand these issues. They whine, bitch, and moan about them, and in the process, they harm people. You know there can be kids that are gay, right? What if there's a kid who's gay?
A kid who wants to have anal sex with other men.
That's not what it means to be gay. Why are you reducing it to only being sex? Is your mind this much in the gutter?
Excuse me? No.
Wait, are you straight? Does that mean
about.
all you care about is vagina? No, it's about forming a love bond.
Because that is what people normally are.
No, it's not.
It is.
And also stop appealing to what's normal, because that's fully societally dependent.
I would heavily disagree with that, but
okay. Well, if you want to go by your way, then it's not normal to have blonde hair or be a millionaire.
What?
Does that mean it's bad?
Makes sense.
All right, you're wasting my time at this point, dude. You're too dumb to even keep up with the conversation. But at the end of the day,
you just threw out something completely random. You can explain to me what it is, and I can.
No, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Or...
This conversation's gone on longer than necessary. I thought maybe we could get somewhere with Christianity, but I don't. You're so fucking stupid. It's actually kind of sad. You should just get off the internet and go touch grass.
I think you can't handle what I'm saying, and you're just getting angry at me.
You're right. Yeah,
because I'm disagreeing.
The hot
I'm being
takes,
completely
just
polite.
Too much. I don't care if you're polite. Why do you guys always do this? Stop being a snowflake. I don't care if you're the nicest person in the world. You're advocating for a harm, and I'm advocating against your harm.
Can I say one more thing then? Because this actually is exactly my point. So, regarding the conservatives censoring our people, I think this is actually the most perfect way we could have come back to this. You are saying I'm a horrible person. You're saying I want to kill people or murder people or harm people.
I didn't say you want to do
that. I want to harm people, and I'm contributing to their deaths. That's what I meant.
Yes,
I'm contributing to their deaths, and I want to harm people.
Mm-hmm.
And you expect me to go about this and just let you basically slander me, and
it's not slander.
And basically say my ideology when I've come in here and I tried to play the game nicely.
I don't care.
You've tried to basically just delegitimize me for your insults.
I didn't delegitimize you with your insults.
And then you're going to say that when you hold these opinions, that basically you need to hold on the premise of other people are bad, they're homophobic, transphobic, racist, and you think that free speech should just allow you to just like your ideology is spread that way, and that's where I disagree.
No,
That's
you're
where I
coping
disagree.
right now. You're really
No, I'm
coping,
not.
dude. If you genuinely think that all I did this entire time was insult you, then I don't think you were listening.
It was not all you did, but it was definitely where you decided to leave off and bring your strongest point was just basically saying you want to harm people,
You do.
and
What you
no,
are
I don't.
advocating for is a harm. It's provably. It's a provable harm.
No, no, it's not.
Okay. Well, I guess you can just keep
It
living in
really.
denial.
Oh, okay, man. You were saying that someone politely just if you have an ideology that falls apart and causes suicide if someone politely disagrees with it, I really question how strong that ideology is and also if it's a healthy ideology to have.
Okay. I don't know how that
Okay,
makes
okay.
any sense at all, but
It
cool.
does, yeah. If you're literally saying that by me disagreeing that I am killing people basically, that
Because
people are gonna die.
what are you disagreeing about? You're disagreeing about somebody's validity. Somebody's gender
What does
identity
that
is
mean?
what
That
you're
sounds like a
disagreeing
buzzword,
with.
validity.
Yeah, you're disagreeing with transgender people's validity. That's the disagreement here. Just
And what does
saying
that mean, validity?
that they are the gender identity that they say they are, that they should be treated
Okay, yeah,
as
I do disagree
such.
on that.
Yeah, I know you do. And that's why you're contributing to the higher suicide rate. This is like if I got up here and was saying, you know, white men, they're just huge pieces of shit. They're literally lower than dirt. But you know, being a white man is really bad, you see, because they
I'm
commit
not saying
suicide at
people are
higher
lower
rates.
than dirt. I'm not taking away anyone's humanity. I'm not saying that people like that these people should be killed. I'm literally just saying that I disagree with it.
If
And
that you're raising the bar so that you can try to make yourself look better. You don't need to say trans people should be killed for
you're the
what
one
you are
who just
advocating for to
you just
ultimately
lowered the
result
bar.
in that.
You're the one who just said that the equivalent would be you basically saying that white people are complete pieces of
All
shit
right, let me
and
rephrase. I was giving a more hyperbolic example to make it more clear. But this would be like if I was arguing now for half an hour that being white is really not a good thing. We should try to discourage it as much as possible, and that
the
being
left
white
literally does that.
is bad, you see, because they have a high suicide rate. You see how that doesn't
The
follow?
left says the exact same thing, except they say being white is bad because they're racist.
You see the
How is
problem?
that
Do you see how
different?
that doesn't follow though? Is because you cannot invoke the suicide rate of the group in which you are discriminating against, because the suicide rate is a result of the discrimination. Does that make sense?
I would disagree with the suicide rate as a result of the
I
discrimination.
know you would, man. All right, well, if I were you, I would
Okay.
pray to your sky daddy that maybe he'll open your eyes, let the scales fall off your eyes one day, because you're all in favor of censorship and teaching kids a harmful ideology. Just don't let them know the truth about gay people.
Okay, would you be in favor of censorship of something that's absolutely horrible and harmful to people? Because that's literally what I'm advocating for. You're saying that
No,
I'm
you're
like
not.
you're
It's not harmful to people. You haven't demonstrated
is
that at all.
you are taking away people's ability to have children. You are taking
So?
away how is
So is it,
mutilating
so
your
should we be
genitals
should we be go ahead and condemn all women who are born without a uterus?
born without something they have no control over?
What if a woman gets a
No, I don't think we should.
hysterectomy? Maybe she decides, you know what, I don't want kids, so she has her tubes tied.
I think that's kind of cringe. I don't know what level of condemnation, but yeah, I would say it's cringe.
Okay.
I would disagree with it.
Okay.
In the same way, I disagree with everything. So
Okay. Gay people can also adopt. I think you might be forgetting that one too. And so can trans
yeah,
people.
I understand that. It's not your own children.
So what?
I mean that matters
No, it doesn't.
somewhat. Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe it matters to you because you're a result
Well,
of what happens when you
that's
grow
more
up
of a
without a
personal thing.
father.
I can't
So
defend. Oh, okay, wow, dude.
that's
I can't
probably it.
definitively prove a study matters. But yeah, when I say is taking away your ability to have children is taking away your ability to have children. Yes, you can adopt children. Some people are born without the ability to have children. They have to adopt children, but that does not disprove that you are taking away your ability to have children.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wouldn't, I wouldn't go too crazy about this. Like, I know you've lived in the orphanage for a while, but someone will pick you one day. Maybe if
Dude,
you stop
literally
being
all
such
your
a
comebacks are
dipshit.
just insults.
Maybe if you stop being
You're
such a
coping so
dipshit,
hard,
you'll get
Hunter.
adopted. That might happen. I don't know. Hopefully, a gay person adopts you. Actually, that'd be. You know what? I hope that a gay couple who are black and their
Why do
biological
you
kid
think
is
I hate black
trans
people,
would adopt
Hunter?
you. That would be
That's
really
pretty
funny.
cringe.
I don't know. I don't care if you hate them, but I'll tell you that I hate you. Okay, so fuck you. Goodbye. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified when I drop a new video.